Hello, this is the video demo for the Project Milestone 3. First off, let me start off by saying that I have not implemented every objective in the rubric. This is due to time constraints, work, other focus on classes, and due to the fact that this semester has just been very weird with the pandemic. But I still try still meeting some of the objectives in the rubric, and it's best to turn in something than nothing. So let's first off go off with the first objective, which is tank still moves, shoots from milestone 1, and the AI still exists from milestone 2. See, as you can still see here, the tanks are still very the AI tanks are still very much here. We still have the this tank, which is the chasing tank. We have this tank, which runs away from the player tank when it reaches a certain proximity. And then we have this tank, which which does patrolling, which has its 4 patrolling points positioned here. Let me just zoom in a little bit. So as you can see with these little green diamonds kind of representing the patrol points, we have one here, 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 and there. And these patrol points are kind of just where this AI tank would move around. And these 2 tanks in the back, they're still kind of just there as a placeholder, really. They're kind of more just dummy tanks, just to test out things. But let me go off and start showing the movement of the player tank, just to show that it's still the same thing as the first milestone. I'll press play. So as you can still see here, the player tank still moves according to the WASD keys. So it still moves forward, backwards, goes right and left. Onward to the second objective. So, for this project milestone, as I stated before, I didn't meet some of the objectives of the rubric due to this semester just being a weird semester. So I tried my best to implement a level generator of some sort. So over here, we have the five, six walls, 6 walls in a cube. These are kind of here for by default. So these blockades walls, they're all here by default. The cube is also there by default, but there is a script called rotate horizontal walls, and what this does is it generates a random horizontal walls, kind of like this one, except a bit smaller, and kind of just plops them around the arena here within a X position range of 30 to negative 30 and a Z position range of 30 to negative 30. And I could just I'll play it again just to kind of showcase it. I can actually adjust part of the script so it's a little bit more easy to see. So over here, this is the variable that helps the editor or designer determine how many random walls they want to generate through the arena. So by default, I have it as 3, but let's say I wanted to put in I don't know, 5. Then 5 walls will randomly generate in this arena, and then you have the spawn delay variable. This variable is just acts as the timer. So let's say so as of now, what it says here is that for every 2 seconds, a random wall will be generated. This can be changed to more than 2 seconds or less than 2 seconds. But right now, I'm going to leave it for 2 seconds, kind of just to speed up the process. So if I press play again, go into scene, you can see that some of the walls will start randomly generating. You have a second one there, third one there, fourth one there, and then a fifth one should have popped up somewhere. Unless it... Let me check here. Oh yeah, here's the fifth one. Okay, yeah. So here's the first random generated wall, the second one, third one, fourth one, and fifth one. And as I mentioned, if you go here to this game object, you can adjust the amount and the timer delay. So that's kind of it for the second objective, and that's kind of really it for the procedural level generator. And then onward to the next task, objective I mean, which is the power-up spawn, and are able to be picked up by players and AIs and respawn after a designer set time period. So this kind of runs the same way as the sorry about that. The power-ups kind of share a similar script to the procedural level generator. So what I decided to do with the power-ups is have it so, just like the walls, I have the power-ups, so by default I kind of just have these power-ups over here, just kind of positioned here. The red one is the health one, which is a permanent power-up, and then the golden one here acts as a fire rate power-up, so if the AI or player tank collides with this one, their fire rate will be a lot more quicker. And then over here you have this blue turquoise power-up, and this one's just a speed power-up. Oh, and the speed power-up and the bullet power-up, these ones are temporary, which I'll get more into. So if I were to go, let's see, to here. Oh, actually, wait, no, it's in these spawners. Okay, yeah. So over here I have 3 spawners for each power-up. So within each spawner, it's just as I mentioned before, it's just like the level generator. You can determine the amount of specific power-ups you want. So if you want to have 5 health power-ups, you can leave it here at 5. If you want more, you can just put more here or less in this field. And then the spawn delay acts as the timer. So for every 2 seconds, 1 health power-up will randomly spawn in the arena within a X position range of 30 to negative 30 and a Z position range of 30 to negative 30. So it's basically almost identical to the wall procedural generating script. But to kind of showcase, so I'm going to showcase the AIs collecting the power-ups. So I kind of have these 2 power-ups pretty close to the AI one. So this one is AI Tank 1. So by default, the AI Tank 1 has a current health of 3 and a fire cooldown of 1.5. So theoretically, when I play this, if I can get the AI Tank to kind of just collide with these 2, the health should be, I believe, 6 because it has a multiplier of 2, and the fire the fire cooldown also has a fire rate of 2. But let me just make sure on that. Yes, over here. Yeah, so here you have the variable of multiplier, which can also be adjusted. So right now, by default, the multiplier is 2. So if I go back to AI Tank 1, press play and kind of just get the attention of this tank. I just get this tank to go forward, go a little bit forward. Oh, okay. Oh, wait. I accidentally paused that. Let's get this thing go a little forward. A little bit more forward. Okay. So, if I go back to the AI tank, as you can see, the current health changed from 3 to 6, and the fire cooldown changed from 1.5 to 0.75. So that kind of showcases that the AI can collect power-ups. And I'm going to replay that again to show that also the player can get the collect power-ups. So over here we have the speed one. So theoretically, if the player collides with this power-up, their speed should be multiplied by 2. So it should change from 20 to 40. We'll collide with this. And yep, as you can see here, it changed it from 20 to 40. And then onward to the next objective, which is power-ups affect players and AIs and can be set to expire after X seconds to be permanent stat changes. So as I mentioned before, the health one is a permanent power-up, while the fire cooldown / fire rate buff and the speed power-up are temporary. And that one, let me go into these. So the speed power-up and the fire rate power-up also have another variable called duration. So that determines how long the duration of the buff lasts. So by default, I have it as 3 seconds, but that can also be changed. So I'm gonna still keep it at 3 seconds. So I'm gonna replay it again and replay it for a little bit longer just to show that the stats change after 3 seconds. So if I were to go here, play it. Hold on. Let me just scroll down a little bit. Okay, so we have a move speed of 20. It should go to 40, and it should last for 3 seconds. Over here. As you can see, it increased to 40, and then after 3 seconds, it went back down to 20. And then the same thing goes also for the AI tanks. So if they interact with the the same power-ups, the fire cooldown and the speed one, it'll also last for 3 seconds. So onward to the next objective. Game manager exists in Singleton. Yes. So if I go to scripts, I can now just continue on from the script side of the project. Over here, we have the game manager, which is kind of one of the objectives needed for the third project milestone. And then I can actually might as well showcase the other scripts that were implemented in this project milestone. So the new ones that were implemented was the map one. So this one was in charge of creating instantiating walls and kind of just randomly planting them in the arena to kind of act as a level procedural generation. And the other new scripts were in the power-ups folder. We have the power-up script, which as the name would suggest, it's the script that is connected with the power-up game component. And then the other script is the power-up fire rate for the fire rate power-up. Then we have the power-up timer, which is the script associated with the speed buff power-up. The respawn script. So this is used for the determining how many power-ups should be spawning in the arena, and for how many should spawn per each second or per each 2 seconds, all determined by the designer or editor, which can be changed in Unity's inspector. And then the last script was the rotate, which is kind of just a script that just gives each power-up a little animation that I decided to give it. So as you might have noticed, the power-ups will kind of rotate a bit. So here's the speed one, the health one, and the bullet one, which the AI tank decided to collect. So as you can notice, yeah, the ones in the background, they'll start rotating a bit. I kind of just added that for just for giving it a little bit more visualization in the game. And the next component, bug and error free. I would say that, yeah, everything is pretty bug and error free. Uh, all the code and the new scripts are implemented, and the code works perfectly as I had thought out. There hasn't been any errors really or bugs that I've seen or encountered. And then comments, which is the next objective, as you can see with the new scripts implemented. Um, the scripts are all commented out, or not really commented out. They all have comments, so kind of just describing how each variables work, the game objects, components, the quarantine, the enumerator, the instantiations, and all that fun stuff. And then onward to the next objective, which is project organization. So as you can see here, I'm ready to go to assets. I did get another. I'm using another package from the Unity Asset Store, which is a what was it called? The particle party effect. I think that's what it was called. I used that for just to give the tanks and the power-ups particle effects, which you might have noticed a bit. I'll go a little bit more into the particle effects a little later. But as you can see, on the assets, we have all these subfolders for art. If we go into the scripts folder also, for example, it's they're all divided into the AI scripts, the camera script, map generation, power-up script, the tank scripts, and the game manager. If I go into the art scripts, they're split into two subfolders, the materials and models, and so on and so on. And then onward into the last objective, which is the game seats minimum requirements. So first off, let me just say that I adjusted the angle of the camera a bit because I decided to change the skybox, which yes. So I did implement a second package from the Unity Asset Store, which was I forgot what it was called, but it was a package all just for skyboxes, and I decided to go with this skybox color texture, whatever it is, just because I just found it more aesthetically pleasing, I guess. So that's one of the things that I kind of just newly added, and then I moved the camera angle a bit so you could kind of see the different skybox here in the background. And another thing, which was, as I mentioned before, the power-ups are animated, so they kind of rotate a bit. And then another thing that was added is some textures onto the walls. So I'm still leaving the border walls as blue for now until I think of another texture to give it. But as of now, the walls are actually used for the player and AI tanks to maneuver with. They have a metal-like texture just to give it more better visualizations. And then and another thing that was added was particle effects for the power-ups, as I mentioned, and particle effects for the AI tanks. So if either the AI tank or the player tank collides with any of the power-ups, the power-ups will release a small little explosion particle effect, and if any of the AI tanks are destroyed, they'll let out a plasma explosion particle effect. So if I were to play it again, if I were to collect this power up, you might notice a little explosion particle effect. So I'm gonna rotate a bit, and you can notice that. And then if I were to go after the AI tank, so if I go chase this AI tank, shoot it down. So if I destroy it, boom. There you can notice a little plasma explosion particle effect. Decided to add that for more visuals. And as you can see, might as well go into the scene again just to give you a better view of what the map procedural level generated, which with the walls. So you have all the 5 walls randomly generated and have been planted in different areas. So if I play it again, they should be positioned in different areas, and so should the power-ups. So you can see here's some I'll actually let this play through for the whole time, or let all the power-ups and walls kind of just spawn in. So if I were to press pause, as you can see, there's some health power-ups, some speed power-ups over here, and some bullet power-ups. And the walls decide to randomly generate in different areas again. And that's really all about it. I'll see if I can try to implement more of the objectives in the rubric within the time I have for the final project too. But other than that, yeah, that is the video demo for the Project Milestone 3.